What is good, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about the one and only NIO stock and do some in-depth technical analysis, and I'm also going to give you guys my price prediction for tomorrow based off what the trends are showing and based off what the data is suggesting. Now, before I break anything down about NIO, before I talk about what NIO is doing and what NIO put on their Twitter page, which is actually very bullish news for the long-term future, as we do have some new products coming out, I do have to mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner, so don't take any of this as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire NIO community as a whole. And the last things, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you're guaranteed up to 12 free stocks, each worth up to $3,500. And you can always sell these 12 free stocks for cash and use that cash to buy some NIO shares for free. The Webull offer ends in just 13 days, so check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. So NIO was very interesting today. It actually made a very nice move up to about almost $21, and it traded almost exactly where I thought it would. I drew out the $20.18 level of support and the $20.80 level of resistance, and I actually talked about NIO trading in this range. This is exactly where NIO traded, but it ended up kind of like closing just where the support zone was, a little bit lower than I thought it would. It actually closed completely flat, 0% green, 0% red, exactly where it closed yesterday. So it's very interesting to see that happening, but we actually were green for the majority of the day, and we did trade in this range, which is a good sign. Now, there is one thing that concerns me, and that's how the overall market is going to trend, because that will affect NIO. But other than that, NIO has been showing a lot of improvement relative to how it was trading from before. So let me actually break down this improvement for you. But first off, let's talk about the market and the news just real quick before I talk about the charts. So the fear and greed index is currently a little bit more on the fearful side. It's pretty close to neutral, but a little bit more fearful. And that's typically what happens in the markets, at least right now. And I actually think that this is a good kind of like representation of what the market is kind of doing right now. It's becoming pretty neutral, but people are still kind of fearful and they don't entirely trust everything. We also have a big rumor or maybe piece of news that came out that NIO might be releasing their first phone next year, even though we don't truly know if this is confirmed or not. And they may actually be targeting EVs for around 15,000 to about 30,000. So in that range right there, that would be very good for their company going forward. They're just some rumors, but I just want to put it out that they're always improving, and that's one of the main reasons as to why I'm still very bullish for the long-term future. Now, when it comes to the short-term, there's something I wanted to talk about. Let me actually find my SPY chart. I think it's somewhere over here. It's right here. There it is. So anyways, looking at SPY, there's something very interesting going on. If I zoom out of SPY like this, you'll notice that the SPY was actually pushing up just like this, and it actually made a nice move, but now it's just holding these ranges. And if I zoom out a little bit more, I think the 1 minute candles are a little bit more meticulous. You could see what the SPY is doing, right? You guys can notice that it pushed up and pushed up. Okay, it was looking good. And then all of a sudden, it's just been trading sideways. If you notice the SPY, it's been going back and forth between these ranges. It's actually starting to kind of downtrend just a little bit, but it's not necessarily confirmed just yet. So looking at a bigger time frame, you could see the SPY was not just trading kind of sideways, but it also has a gap down here. And this gap, I think, would take the SPY all the way down to 406. It does look like we're getting close to filling that gap, so that could actually bring the market down temporarily during the later days of the week. But other than that, it's been kind of holding between 408 and 413 as of right now. And we also have that key zone around that 415 range. I was also talking about that. We didn't actually end up even getting there just yet, because if you look at the daily chart on SPY and look at the EMAs, you can see we came super close to testing that 200 EMA. And I did think that this could have been like the key level for SPY. If we actually broke the 200 EMA, that would be very bullish for the markets. And so far, we're not seeing it just yet. So this means that, to make this simple, if SPY starts dropping, because we got that nice 1348 EMA crossover, we pushed up already, but we could actually start dropping. If we do, all right, I'm not saying we will just yet. I'm saying if we do. If the whole market starts pushing down, because the SPY and the NASDAQ, the whole market are kind of like moving in one direction in a way. You could see the NASDAQ is also just barely red, just like SPY. The whole market could actually get dragged down a bit. And this could not just bring, SPY down, it could bring NIO down as well. But for NIO, one of the things I mentioned was that this thing has so far been trending in the upward direction. It's been showing lots of signs of improvement. And also, one of the things I noticed I wanted to talk about is NIO was dropping in this falling wedge. It is starting to push up, and we have that gap. Let me show you where the gap is real quick. Let me hide my drawings just to make this easier to see. You could see there's a gap somewhere up here, right over here in that 22.5 level. So is NIO ready to fill that gap? It looks like NIO wants to do that, but if the overall market doesn't allow it to do that, it could actually get stopped. Now on the daily chart, there are some important things I'm going to look at for NIO. We had that 1348, almost like a crossover down, but we're starting to see a reversal after that. So hopefully we get a different crossover in the opposite direction. And I also want to talk about other technical indicators on the daily. Right now, if we look at the MACD, we're about to get a MACD signal line crossover. So as of right now, it looks like NIO is starting to respect an upward trend. So I would be bullish for NIO if it wasn't for the overall market looking kind of choppy. If the overall market was more bullish and holding up, I think NIO would make a very bullish move. It would actually go as high as $22. But because I'm not too confident about that. I'm not super confident that NIO is going to push up and fill that gap this week. But it does look like it's going to slowly uptrend from here and maybe trade a little bit sideways until then. So let me show you something else. Where's my RSI? I'm not sure why that's not loading. There it is. The RSI is showing some improvement when it comes to its strength. So NIO is showing some improvements in that range. And overall, we're seeing another bit of improvements on the 2-hour time frame. We almost got a 1348 EMA cross, but 2 hours don't matter as much. So here's what's going on with NIO. Let me bring up the 5-minute candles just to make this clear for you. And let me bring back my drawings. All right. So I mentioned, let me close the EMAs. Hold on one second. So I mentioned to you guys that, okay, NIO touched $18 a couple of days ago. And I saw this thing pushing up back to the 19.5 level. That's what it ended up doing. Then I talked about seeing NIO back in the 20s because I drew out this. I pointed this out yesterday for you. So NIO has been trading around this key zone right here between 20.2, maybe like around 20.18, and between there and 20.8. So far I do see this thing continuing to trade in this range, but I do think we're going to drop a little bit into open because the whole market's kind of turning red right now and we are seeing a big change. So just to draw this out for you, let me actually make this chart look a little smaller. I'm going to draw this out, then I'm going to talk about support and resistance levels just real quick. Then I'm going to end the video with what NIO is essentially putting on their Twitter page. So when it comes to NIO, we barely closed near support. We're actually kind of red in the after hours. So I wouldn't be surprised if NIO actually starts to come down. And tomorrow we could actually test 19.5 for a little time. And hopefully we get a nice bounce off that. Then we start to push up again. And we could actually start to test our key resistance level, which is 20.18. If we get a nice move above that, I do think it's possible for us to see some action right here. We could actually go as high as 20.8, but I'm not too inclined to thinking that just yet. But if that's the case, I do think we could actually end up dropping and kind of trading kind of sideways throughout the day again. But maybe we'll be a little bit green, just barely in the green. But I do think we're going to end up closing very close to where we closed earlier. And we could end up closing a little lower than 20. I mean, that would not be ideal. I wouldn't like to see NIO starting to close below 20, but I do see a move kind of like this trading within these ranges between 19.5 and 20.8. So be on the lookout for that. But I do think we might see a slight drop into the opening before a nice, push up followed by more sideways action to close today, maybe just somewhat green. So that's essentially how I'm seeing it. Now, as long as the market holds up and if we do get better price action for next week, NIO will have the potential to fill the gap up there. As I always mentioned, this is just a short-term thing because if you look at the long-term, NIO has this new piece of news that came out, and you could see right here, NIO tweeted that on August 1st, the first integrated power charger and a swap station jointly built by NIO and Shell was officially operating in China. I apologize if I said that wrong, but you can understand right here, they have new partnerships. They're actually joining to build more of these charging and swapping stations, and this is going to actually help them in their expansion to different parts of the world, not to mention the fact that we're going to see this expansion in the United States one day too. So it's very, very awesome. I really wish the best for NIO. And for the short term, I do think we're going to see more choppy price action like this. For the long term, I'm still very, very bullish. I still think this thing has the potential to break all-time highs. It's just going to need a lot of time. So remain calm, cool, and collected. I do think NIO is going to trade a little sideways for the next couple of days. It should close a little green tomorrow, hopefully kind of flat. But these are the key zones you got to look out for. Anyways, just to remind you, if we break past 20.8, that's one of the resistance levels. We're going to go as high as 21.5. That's where the next key zone would be. And if we drop below 20.18, the next key zone to look out for is if we could hold 20. If not, then 19.5 or around there is where we have support. And if that doesn't hold, then it's 19 flat. With that out of the way, I went over the support and resistance levels. I did some technical analysis for you. I talked about the news, why I'm still very bullish for its long term, and what my price prediction was. So stay strong, remain calm, cool, and collected, and I will most definitely see you guys in the next video. Thank you for listening. Have a great day, and peace out.